Hi guys, it's Janet with Living Room Talks with Dr. Carlitta Moore from Arkansas State. First question to you. What's your emotional state with current events right now?
So with the current events, I am looking for the community to be a little bit more aware. I think people are starting to get antsy, especially with COVID, right? People are relaxing in their practices. They're not wearing their masks. They're not washing their hands. They're not staying distant. You have some people that are, and then some people that are just kind of like, I'm over it. I'll just kind of take my chances. Um, Especially with the vaccine, people um, are not sure how it's going to operate, and there's not enough people that are vaccinated right now. So I think, with that going on, you can't, put your guard down. You have to definitely stay diligent in your practices, and that way that everybody can remain safe. I think it's just a respect of each other as we go through this journey of the pandemic.
So you are a professor at Arkansas State in athletic training. Going virtual and not going virtual, how has it been for you as an instructor?
Oh man. So I think the virtual aspect of it is twofold, right? You have a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you run your classes. You can kind of switch it to help navigate the student a little bit better with clinicals. I do think about that. I also think about the mental challenges the student faces with the virtual learning. The disadvantages with athletic trainers were very hands-on. So it's hard to teach so many special tests and things of that nature virtually. Trying to explain, okay, I need you to move over just a little bit more, bring your hand left, bring the right hand down just a smidge. And so you have to, you don't know how much pressure or tension, especially, with our special tests and things of that nature. So it makes it very hard to critique a student and to help them to be a success. And so I think one of the big things when we came back was like, okay, let's go through all of these special tests again. Let's see that you can do it, you can perform it proficiently, so that you're not placed in a disadvantage. And I think just as healthcare professionals, a lot of our work is hands-on. When COVID started, we're like, I don't want to touch you. Like, I know I have to, but we're just going to kind of keep this to a minimum until I actually have to. But I
Or
think,
like, don't breathe on me. You're a
yeah,
little so close. I can feel your breath.
no, no, no. So I think with the learning piece, we just have to be diligent in learning how to transition from one to the other. And I think it teaches flexibility. In our profession, we definitely have to be flexible because a practice can change in any moment. And so when practices change uh, very swiftly, we have to be swift as well. And so with the virtual changes, it works in our favor. Snow days are not snow days anymore because now you can teach virtually unless somebody doesn't have power. So now that is the go-to. Do you have power? So now people are probably going to be looking for power outages versus snow days in order to not have virtual class.
Do you think there's any concern amongst OG athletic trainers with this current class of athletic training students having so many virtual classes and not having as many hands-on experiences or teaching
Oh,
opportunities?
absolutely. I think from program to program, people, it varies, right? Some people were able to go back and get the clinical experiences that they were before. Some people still are not having clinical experiences and they're getting ready to graduate. So they haven't had that hands-on knowledge. And I think you learn more in your clinical setting than you do necessarily in the classroom. And I say that because it's a culmination of everything that you learn, right? You get the basic knowledge in class, and then you have to critically think and put it all together at your rotations. And so that's a vital piece of our practice is getting that knowledge because nothing is going to present like the book. You learn the book, and that's what you get tested on. But in real life, and it hits you like, the book did not tell me how to deal with this. And so when you have those opportunities, to definitely get hands-on, I think it definitely puts them at a disadvantage. So OGs might, they'll probably ask the question, did you go to your clinical rotation? How did it work through the pandemic? Just so they know the
Yep, yep.
level that you're coming in. And, if they're a real good OG, they'll be willing to work with you and be patient and have an understanding that, okay, let me kind of keep an eye and stay close as they start, especially if it's a person that's a good fit for the organization. Just making sure they stay close, making sure they're always there to answer any questions that they may have. And then as they see them running and on their foot, they just kind of let them spread their wings and fly.
So moving on to a different topic, a big thing that a lot of people are aware of now are their own implicit biases, or just the idea of the theory of implicit bias. Have you ever dealt with something like that personally? And how did you look at your own implicit biases?
So I actually, Harvard has this survey where you can go in and figure out what your implicit biases are, and I kind of steer on like this, like the middle ground, right? I might be just a tad bit more to one side versus the other. Um, I'm actually more favorable for the LGBTQ community than I am for the heterosexual community, which is interesting because I'm in the heterosexual community, but I'm an ally. So like I have a really good advocacy and for the LGBTQ community, Q plus community, and so with that, I think I'm more sensitive. My bias is more sensitive to them than it is for a heterosexual, right? And so to me, it's like once you do those surveys and you find out what your biases are, you have to be intentional in changing, right? When we find out things and we learn that maybe we're favorable towards one side versus the other, we have to be intentional on changing that, especially if we want to be inclusive with our practices and who we're communicating with. We want to be culturally humiliative, right? So you have to identify those biases and be intentional. It's one thing to know what your biases are, it's another thing to be intentional about changing those biases.
How are you teaching that to your students about looking into their implicit biases and clinical practice?
So I actually I have them do the survey, and so they do it in class. And basically, what I say is, look, you don't have to tell me what your biases are. This is for you. This is a a self-based exercise, even though we're doing it in class. I said, but if you want to talk about it, if you want to express it, we're here to listen, we're here to have open dialogue about it. And how can we change our viewpoints and our opinions on these things? I think um, I've spent, and I didn't answer a piece of your question, but I've spent in the past, a lot of my life has been in predominantly white situations, right? I did go attend a HBCU twice. I've worked at a HBCU, so I am a part of the HBCU family, but I've also attended PWIs, predominantly white institutions. And so I'm able to navigate in it, but I'm also very aware of where I am in my positioning and that I may not be accepted as easily as other people may be accepted. And so I understand that. I don't put anybody against it. But I also open the dialogue to say, is there something that I can help you to kind of navigate the situation a little bit better? What can I do to help you to understand my viewpoint and how I'm feeling that you're projecting on me, right? And I think if we open these conversations and are willing to work with individuals, I think it'll help the collaboration of different races and genders and religions and political like we can all merge together and be one big happy family if people are just willing to open, listen, and understand and not take offense to what's being said, even if we don't agree.
Next question's a little loaded, but has your race ever impacted you as a clinician and now as an instructor, professor?
Uh, no, probably more of a benefit, right? A lot of the population that I've served kind of look like me. And so I think I provide that opportunity for comfort in a place that it's somebody that looks like me, right? Whether it's a female, right? I blend in that, or if it's somebody that's of color, I blend in that. And so, I may not blend with the Asian culture or the Latina culture. Um, but what my name is Carlita. So sometimes if you read it, you don't really know because they think of like Carlito's way. But I think with that, I'm always open arms, regardless of race, gender, whatever. So it doesn't really affect me, but I think um, it's I don't want to say it's that token person that you have in the room, right? You have to meet the diversity standpoints, and that's fine. I don't take offense to that. I expand from it, right? That means that there's a need, and here I have two coworkers that are of the Caucasian race, and so and they're both males. So so now you have a black female. So now I can relate to the students that are females. I can relate to my students of color, and all of our students are being taken care of. They're being listened to. Their needs are being met, and it puts a better opportunity for your students. I think you should have um, a diverse working environment. I tried to build that in my last institution with the staffing that I had. I just, kind of switch it up a little bit just so everybody can be helped whenever needed.
Do you ever feel a pressure being an African American female at a PWI, especially with students of the same background coming to you for comfort?
No, I realized that when I was at a PWI that I needed that, right? I needed somebody that I could talk to, and I let them know, hey, if you have an issue, come talk to me. I might not be able to fulfill all your answers. I can give you my experience of things I've dealt with. Um, but I'm your listening ear. I have a student that tells me all the time, like, I wouldn't have made it through the program if it wasn't for you. And I mean, that really meant a lot to me. That I was able to be that sounding board for them to help them say, look, you gotta finish, you gotta keep going. You can't let anybody stop you. You can't let anybody prevent you from reaching your goals, right? You still have to strive to the highest heights, regardless of the challenges and obstacles that are placed before you.
So can you tell me a little bit about transitioning from a clinician to a full-time professor? Is there stuff that you miss from athletic training that you don't miss? And what was that transition process like?
Oh man, I miss the adrenaline rush, right? And you hate it when an athlete goes down, but you love it because you're going into action, and it's it's weird to say that you love it when somebody gets hurt, but it's the adrenaline rush of what do I do next? How do I help them? Like what is going to be my plan of action? What is going to be my plan of care? Like everything that you learned in all of your experience all culminates into one moment, right? And then being able to go from that moment and progress that athlete to return to play and to see the joy and passion of them going back into something they love. I miss that, right? I miss being that person that they can go to. um, One of my athletes say, don't you like get tired of people like always coming to you with their problems? And I was, what are you talking about? So everybody that came to me, was hurt. They had a problem. So we had to fix it. I was like, no, that's what I'm here. I'm here to serve. The problems don't bother me. I don't let it affect me, but I'm helping somebody, right? We're put in this world to help others and see them be a success. So I miss that piece. I do not miss the long hours. So those hours can get to you. I think over the years, they can definitely get to you. My dad put it well as it can cause you to outgrow the profession, right? Um, and so you have to be mindful of self care in yourself when you hit those long hours.
What was the hardest thing you had to face as a new professor?
Making sure that I wasn't doing my students a disservice. That is probably like one of my guiding things. I think once you get in the profession, you kind of like it's a go go go, right? You automatically know why you're doing what you're doing, um, and you know in your mind why you're doing what you're doing because you know you've been doing it. But now I have to express that to somebody else, right? I have to tell them, you do this because da 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 da, and you do this because this, and I had to like kind of recall why did I do that? You know? Um, so that's one thing. And then, you know, making sure that they're prepared and they have all the tools they need, one to be successful, not only for the BOC, but as they work in the career athletic training. Like I don't want to be uh, doing a disservice and putting somebody out there that has absolutely no idea what they're doing. But if I know I've given them my all, I've opened myself to, hey, if you need additional practice, come, you know, come get me at my office. We'll go over this. We'll talk it out one-on-one so that you can understand it. So as long as I put myself out there, I feel like I've done a great deed to my students.
What advice do you have for YPs and students?
Uh, protect your self-care. um we you hear it a lot, right? You hear it a lot, and somebody you always do self-care, 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 and we forget to do the self-care. Like the day off, we're like, I got to do this errand, this errand, this errand, this errand, and at no point in time did you take the time to get a massage, get your nails done, get a pedicure, because you really can't wear nails in athletic training. But get a pedicure, you know, read a book, something that you enjoy. um you know, we take time to work out, but you know, the question is, why do we work out? Are we working out to make sure that we can run 110 yards at most across a football field if we happen to be on the other end and don't want to be out of breath or pass out on the way to an injury? But you know, some people find the working out to be their self-care. But literally scheduling in that block of time, whether it's religious and you have to go into like a prayer corner and pray, but definitely finding that time for you. I think I got lost in the job, right? I dedicated all of my time and all of my energy and everything that was in me. My job was me, right? Um, and part of that passion was I was at my alma mater, so like I'm gonna give my all. Like I love my institution, and I would I ever change that? No, I'm still gonna give my all, and I still give my all to the institution today, because I love it. Right, it built me and made me who I am. They gave me an opportunity that I didn't get elsewhere. Uh, and so, not that I didn't deserve it, but you know, it was a different opportunity, and so I'm always indebted to my alma mater. And so I think we just don't lose ourselves. Don't lose yourself in the job. Find that time for self care.
So my last question to you is my favorite one. Tell me about an embarrassing moment you've had as an athletic trainer and what lesson did you learn from it?
Okay, so and I don't really know if I don't know if people caught it. Okay, so I we were at the CIAA basketball tournament, right? And I was moving something underneath the bus, and I moved a little bit too far, and the lining, like in the inner leg of my pants, had split. So I
Oh,
had a big hole in my pants, like right before the championship game. We're talking, this is a televised game. I was like, oh my God, I'm going on TV and I have a hole in my pants. I was like, what in the world? And so I was like, I looked at the bus driver and I was like, I have a hole in my pants. And he was like, what? I said, I have a hole in my pants. I was like, can you see it? He's like looking. He's like, no, I don't see it. And I started walking. He was like, yep,
no.
I see it. I was like, no. And so I was sitting there. I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, do I have safety pins? I was like, I don't know if I have safety pins. And so like I'm asking people randomly, like made it to the site, and I asked the coordinators for the conference. I was like, hey, do you have safety pins? And they were like, Yeah. So I took some and I like put it on the inner side of my pants leg and I like stitched it together. Luckily, I had tights on underneath my pants. Had it not been cold,
Ooh,
I would
yeah.
not have had tights that matched the color of your pants. Lesson learned. Always wear tights that match the color of your
To
pants.
the YPs that are listening.
Yes. Always wear tights the same color of your pants, especially in a televised, or have another pair of pants just in case. Pants, belt, like always have an extra pair. So now I overpack because I'm like, if I need to change,
Yep, yep.
because I'm like, it's one game. I only need one pair of khakis.
Nope.
Throw those in there and I'm good. Yeah, no,
I
never
have a
again.
sewing kit. I take a sewing kit with me, just one of those like generic ones with like all the different colors just in case like my players need it. But I started doing a sewing kit for that fear. For that
Yes.
fear. It's never happened to me, but for that fear of the one day I don't have it.
Hey, and it got me, and it's crazy because I have a video. A player got hurt, and I giggled because the way I approached him was like I had to make sure that the leg
Little steps, little steps, little steps.
And like when I went to like go down, I shuffled my feet to make sure I was like, okay, don't put the leg that has the split up. I was like, put that one down on the ground. There's less tension.
I love how the focus went from the player on the ground to please my pants don't split. Please don't see my pants.
Man, because I was like, I'm telling you, every time somebody got hurt, I would always get a message. Like somebody would text me and be like, are they okay? Da 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 da. So that told me that either one, the camera is on me when I'm looking at an athlete, or two, they just noticed somebody got hurt and knew that I went out there. Didn't know which one it was. Did not want to get caught on national TV with a hole in my pants. So yeah, that was probably one of the yeah.
I can see the fear in your head of like, am I going to get more comments from family and friends or other athletic trainers? The whole time I'll be like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Exactly. I'm so thankful for the underlayer, because if that was skin, oh man, that would have been
and to have someone with safety pins, like who has those anymore? Like who carries those anymore?
Exactly. And because nobody, the hotel didn't have safety pins. I was like, you got a little sewing kit with the safety pins in it? They were like,
You
no,
don't have those no more.
any.
Nope. You're like, I'll buy one. Here's $20. Take it
Right,
all.
give me safety pins. I need them. Yeah, it was crazy.
All right, next couple minutes is for you, Carlitta Moore, your final statement.
So final statements, here we go. I would say take each day one day at a time, right? You can't change the world in a day, but what you can do is each day strive to make it better. So know what your passion is, know what your why is, and use that to drive you as you go up in the world. And as you go up, make sure you put a hand back down and pull somebody up with you.
Dr. Moore, thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.